Hey class, today we are going to start chapter 22 in I Am Malala. It is called Omens. Now, the word omen might be a new word for you, so I thought, just so you kind of might have a little idea of what this chapter is or might be about, we should look this word up. So I did the dirty work for you. Whoops, we got a pop-up ad. And what the dictionary says omen means is anything perceived or happening that is believed to portend a good or evil event or circumstance in the future. So what an omen is it kind of gives you vibes onto what might happen in the future. It's kind of like foreshadowing in a book or something like that. So an omen kind of it tells you something about the future. So this is what the title is. That summer, I turned 15. Many girls are married off by that age. Okay, hold on. 15! You don't even have a driver's license when you're 15. That's ninth grade. You are 3 years from being a ninth grader, and it says many girls are married off by that age. Many. 15. And many boys have already left school to support their families. So I'm not sure how many of you are going to feel ready to be married off by the age of 15, or boys, if you are going to be ready to leave your family to support, or leave school to support your family. But that's what kids in Pakistan experience. I was lucky. I would get to stay in school as long as I wanted, and as long as there was peace. Well, relative peace. The bomb blasts were down to only 2 or 3 a year, and you could pass by the Green Square without seeing the aftermath of a Taliban killing spree. But true peace seemed like nothing more than a memory or a hope. This birthday felt like a turning point for me. I was already considered an adult. That happens at age 14 in our society. Okay, again, hold on. In the United States, to be considered an adult, you are 18 years old. There it's 14. So typically in 6th grade you turn 12, 7th grade you turn 13, 8th grade you turn 14. 14-year-olds, 8th graders, are considered a legal adult in Pakistan. Now we see 8th graders every day in the hallway, and soon you're going to be one. Let me just tell you that there's a big difference between how an 8th grader acts and a 12th grader acts who is turning 18. So in their country, at 15, she's already considered an adult. But it was time for me to take stock, to think about my future. I knew for certain now that I wanted to be a political leader. I felt the word politics had a bit of a stain on it, but I would be different. I would do the things politicians only spoke of, and I would start with education, especially girls' education. Just because I no longer had to fight to go to school didn't mean I had any less interest in the cause. I had been given a lot of awards, and I started to feel that it was too much, that I didn't deserve it all. I saw so many children suffering still. Why should I be enjoying galas and ceremonies? I told my father I wanted to spend some of the money I'd received helping other people who need it. I had never forgotten the children I'd seen sorting at the trash dump all those years earlier. I wanted to help kids like them. So I decided to start an education foundation. I organized a meeting with 21 girls at school, and we discussed how we could help every girl in SWAT get an education. We decided we would focus on street children and those in child labor. We had plans to keep talking, and then in the fall we would decide exactly what we could do. In early August, my father received some frightening news. One of his close friends, Zahid Khan, had been attacked. Like my father, he was an outspoken opponent of the Taliban. On his way home from prayers one night, he was shot point blank in the face. When my father got the news, he fell to his knees. It was as if he had been shot. We were both on the Taliban list, he finally confessed to my mother. People were just wondering which of us would be first. Although we had been told the Taliban had fled, there was still violence in the valley. Whereas before, anyone in the region who had happened to be caught in the crossfire was in danger. Now the threat was mostly to those who had spoken against the Taliban in the past and who were continuing to campaign for peace. By some miracle, Zahid Khan survived. After that, though, I noticed a change in my father. He started to vary his routine each day. One day he would go to the primary school first thing in the morning. Another day he would go to the girls' school, and the next to the boys'. And before he stepped inside, he looked up and down the street 4 or 5 times to be sure he wasn't being followed. At night, he would come to my room pretending he was there to say goodnight, but he was actually checking to make sure all my windows were locked. I knew what he was doing, so I'd say, "Abba, why have you closed the windows?" He'd reply, "Johnny, I've closed the windows because I want you to be safe." If the Taliban wanted to kill me, I told him, they should have done it in 2009. That was their time. He would shake his head at me and say, "No, you should be safe." My room was big and at the front of the house, and it had many windows. I did worry sometimes that a person could climb over the boundary wall and jump into my room. I also worried constantly that someone had forgotten to lock the gate. So after the rest of the family was asleep, I would tiptoe outside and check the lock. All that fall, odd things happened. Strangers came to the house asking my father questions about his friends and his family. My father told me they were from the intelligence services. Sometimes they came to school and snooped around. There were little things, too. A teacher came to school hysterical one morning, saying that she had a nightmare about me. "You are badly hurt," the teacher said. "Your legs were on fire." And a picture of me that hung on the wall in our house mysteriously shifted overnight. My father, the gentlest man I know, was very upset when he discovered it hanging crooked the next morning. "Please, put it straight," he snapped at my mother. I had started having nightmares, too. Dreams where men threw acid in my face. Dreams where men snuck up behind me. Sometimes I thought I heard footsteps echoing mine when I turned down the alley in front of our house, and sometimes I imagined figures slipping into the shadows when I passed. I had also started thinking about death, wondering what it felt like. I didn't tell my parents about my dreams and fears, or even Moniba. I didn't want anyone to worry. And that is where we'll stop.